Hi everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you're great. Today we will have phrases and clauses. First, you have to log in using the aplusstudent.com. Click on your name, move on to language at the grade 7. The chapter is phrases and clauses, and the lesson will be is it a phrase or clause? Identify prepositional phrases. Alright, so a clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a predicate. A clause can function as a complete sentence or combine with other clauses to form compound or complex sentence. So we have clauses that function as a complete sentence or it will combine with other clause and then it forms a compound or complex sentence. So Samantha grew up in a bilingual family, so she can speak two languages fluently. Now the clause has a subject she and the predicates can speak two languages frequently. So this is it over here. She can speak two language frequently. That's the clause. The Hall of Records, which is found behind Mount Rushmore, contains copies of historical United States documents. Now, the clause has a subject which and a predicate is found behind Mount Rushmore. So, now this is a clause, all right? So, it's a group of words that contains subjects and a predicate. So, it's just like saying the subject and the verb. All right, and sometimes it can be a complete sentence or it can combine with other clauses and then it forms a compound or complex sentence. Okay. Now, for the phrase, a phrase is a group of words that function together in a sentence but lack a subject, a predicate, or both. Now, a phrase functions together in the sentence and it's either lacking a subject, a predicate, or both. Unlike the clause, it has a subject and a predicate, but the phrases lack either subject or predicate. So we wash the dishes in the sink after dinner. So the phrase does not contain a subject. It's like saying wash the dishes in the sink after dinner. So who washed the dishes? We have no idea. So that is what that is the phrase. The new physician at the hospital. So what happens to the physician? We have no idea. So that is a phrase. Okay? So Robert and Emily took detailed notes during the lecture on microbiology. So during the lecture on microbiology, so that is what is that? That is neither a subject nor a predicate, so it's a phrase. So you have to take note that the phrases have does not have the subject or the predicate or even both of them, but the clauses have that. Okay, let's look at some examples. So, although the terminology is evolving, a first year high school or college student is traditionally classified as a freshman, and a second year student is called a sophomore. So, that will be what? A clause. Because it has both the subject and the verb. Okay, so among bats, there are species that can reach speeds of more than 50 miles per hour. That'll be what? That's a phrase because it just says more than 50 miles per hour. It does not have a subject and a verb, a predicate. Okay. So next one, the National Fire Protection Agency instituted a color coding system for fire hydrants that provide firefighters with crucial information about the water source. So that'll be what? A clause because it has the subject and a predicate. Alright. So that's it for our phrases and clauses. So we'll move on to the test right now. So are the underlined words a phrase or clause? The appliance stores policy allows returns for 30 days. However, refunds require receipts. Is this a phrase or a clause? So this is a phrase allow returns for 30 days. Okay? Cockroaches breathe through holes in their bodies called spiracles. This fact helps explain how they can survive for weeks without a head. So phrase or clause. So we have what? We have the clause because it has the subject and it has the what? The predicates. The most successful advertising slogans are those that have the ability to endure, such as just do it or when you care enough to send the very best. So is this a phrase or clause? All right, so we have what? The phrase. Okay, so this is a phrase. Although the terminology is evolving, a first year high school or college student is traditionally called classified a freshman, and a second year student is called a sophomore. So, is it phrase or clause? All right, so we have what? A clause. Okay. So the National Fire Protection Agency instituted a color coding system for fire hydrants that provides firefighters with crucial information about the water sources. So phrase or clause. So we have clause. So inspirational leader Mohandas Gandhi, commonly known as Mahatma Gandhi, directed Indians' fights for independence against British rule. So is this phrase or clause? So we have what? Phrase. Okay. So, following a disastrous invasion of Russia, French military leader and Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte was forced to abdicate and went into exile on the island of Elba. So, freeze or close. So, we have phrase. Usually, the result of earthquakes or volcanic activities, tsunamis are enormous ocean waves that can devastate dock ships. Meanwhile, ships at sea may not even detect the massive waves. Freeze or close. This is a phrase. So the elevated flower beds that display Nate's prize rose are quite striking. So that displays Nate's prize roses are quite striking. Phrase or close. So we have what? Phrase. Alright, so we'll move on to the next lesson. If you haven't done this, you have to make sure that you complete this. The next one will be identify prepositional phrases. Alright, so a preposition comes before a noun or pronoun called the object of the preposition and connects it to the rest of the sentence. Okay, so a preposition comes before a noun, pronoun, and it connects it to the rest of the sentence. That is what we call preposition. Now, a prepositional phrase is a phrase that begins with a preposition and ends with the object of preposition and includes all of the objects modifiers in between. So that's a prepositional phrase. Steam rose steadily from the enormous geyser. So the preposition from connects the object geyser to the rest of the sentence. Now, Jonah's article about Alaskan oil drilling was incredibly well written. Now, the preposition is about and it connects the object oil drilling to the rest of the sentence. So you have to remember that preposition introduces noun, pronouns, or noun phrase. They do not introduce infinitive phrase or adverbial clause. After the show, the dancers greeted their fans. Here, after is a preposition, it connects the object show to the rest of the sentence. And then after the show ended, the dancers greeted their fans. So here in this particular sentence, after what is a conjunction. Okay? So over here. Okay, so we have some common preposition over here. We have a lot of them over here. So you can take note of them. We have about, above, across, and the rest of them. Then some prepositions like according to, across from, along with, in front of, in spite of, instead of, and far from consists of more than one word. So we have that preposition that consists of just one word, and then we have some preposition that consists of more than one word. So look at all the preposition here that consist of one words. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So basically, it's just saying to select two prepositional phrases that's in the sentence. So look at that. Here we have in the Arctic, and then what's the from Dartmouth College. So we have which B had misplaced years ago. So let's move on to the test and then we can easily identify the prepositional phrases. Basically what we have to do in this lesson. So you have select one prepositional phrase here. So in the introductory harmonical class, you will learn useful breathing techniques. Previous experience is not required. So, is it in this introductory harmonical class? So, is it the first or the second? So we have the first one or the second? So we have the second, okay? So we have two introductory phrases here. So you have to select the two prepositional phrases. Now, Megan's thoughtful first person essay about her maternal grandparents deserving honorable mentions in the personal narrative competition. So first to second. So we have what? The first one. Okay. So Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, is a holiday that is celebrated widely across Latin America. First to second. So we have which one? Okay, so we have the first one. Okay. Many people presume that Kansas is the flattest state in in the nation, okay? But Florida's actually flatter, okay? So Florida's is actually flatter. Is it the first or the second? All right, so in the nation, okay. In the Arctic, Leah found her father's diploma from Dartmouth College, which he had misplaced years ago. First to second. So we have what? The first one. So my grandmother was raised in a rural Polish village. So immigrating to New York City was a significant culture shock. First to second. So which is the right one here? So we have the second. Okay. So a bon mot is a witty response in French. The phrase literally means good word. First to second. All right. So we have what? First one. Okay, so before Louisa May Alcott published Little Women, which would launch her into, literary history, she published several works using the pseudonyms Flora Fairfield and A.M. Barnard. So first to second. So we have what's the first one? All right, that's it for our lesson under phrases and clauses. We have two more lessons left under this, and we will complete that the next time we meet. Can you tell me if you have any questions? All right, so since we have no questions, we'll end here for today. Try to complete the lesson if you haven't done it yet, and see you all next time. Bye.